Again, thank you all for coming. The next item on our agenda, first of all, I want to thank the middle school and the 7th and 8th grade band and this chorus for a wonderful presentation. Very enjoyable. Moving to the next item on our agenda, item number 3, opportunity for the public to comment on agenda items. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board? What is that? All right, seeing no one, then I will move on to the next item. Item 4, our consent agenda, which consists of our business meeting minutes of December 1, 2014. Is there anyone who wants to remove anything from the consent agenda? All right, seeing no one, then the consent agenda is approved. Item 5 on the agenda, report of the chair. We have a lot to do tonight, some presentations, so I just wanted to say again that it was very enjoyable to see the presentation. We spend a lot of time here, board members, going over things that are just not pleasant or mundane or business related, and these kinds of presentations tonight really make it all worthwhile. It's what it's all about, and it was great. Ms. Harvest is doing a wonderful job, and I enjoyed it very much, so thank you. All right, moving on to Superintendent's report. Dr. Constantino?
Yes, I also want to thank Ms. Harbison and the students. They did a fabulous job, and I want to thank the board for approving the funds for the pianos and the shell and the risers, because it makes a big, big difference. So I think that very successful there. I'm very proud of everyone. I do want to just alert the board and the community that we did lose a staff member here at the high school, middle high school, last week, Deb Whalen, who was a library paraprofessional here. Her desk was right over there, passed away suddenly last Monday. And today, the high school students and the middle school students and Mrs. Gallo and her staff did a beautiful tribute to her at 10 o'clock in the lobby. Her son was there. He was very moved. And it was initiated by the students, and it was a wonderful remembrance of her. And you'd have been very proud of everyone in this building, because I was, and it was very moving and touching. And I will, on behalf of the board, send a sympathy card from all of us to the family.
Thank you.
We had 2 resignations. Jason Malley is going to be leaving at the end of the school year. He's moving on. And Amanda Magnuson, she's leaving one position, but she's going to take another position in the district. So she had to resign her para job. She is, I believe she's the 5th grade teacher at Booth Free. But honestly, there's been a lot of movement. But I think that's what she's doing. And she's doing a great job. And that's it for us. I think Thursday evening is the holiday show, full force here at Chapag, so if you can make it, that's wonderful. And I also invite the board. On Friday, I went to the swim meet. If you haven't been to the pool yet, please go there, because it's wonderful. The work that Don O'Leary and the facilities have done have really made a big difference. You can hear yourself think. You're not sweating profusely in there like you used to. It's a much enjoyable experience than it was last year and in the past. Then
Or too quiet and comfortable. It just doesn't seem like it should be
Yeah.
our full.
6.3 is our presentation tonight. I will introduce Mrs. Gallo, but we're very excited to be moving forward with the AgriScience STEM program here at Chapag. And I do want to thank all the parents, because I know the PTOs work very hard to get parents out here so we can learn about it and be ambassadors in the community for this wonderful program. So thank you all for coming, and Mrs. Gallo.
A couple board meetings ago, I was able to introduce this concept with my colleague, Mr. Davenport, who really is behind the idea to provide the 20th AgriScience session program in Connecticut, which would be Chapag. There are some questions that are out in the community. I've received very positive feedback from parents that have been in attendance. As a matter of fact, most have been very, very excited, but there are some questions. Basically, the purpose of tonight is for Mr. Davenport to tell you what it's like to be a part of an agri-science program, as he's been the director at Nonawag for many years. We have Karen Hutchinson, who is from the National FFA, who can tell you from the perspective, a national perspective, what happens to kids who go through an agri-science program. What are their prospects? What are they training to do? What does it do for them? We have 2 Nonawag graduates who will briefly tell you about their experience as having been a part of the agri-science program. And I'm also very pleased to say that Art O'Neill is in our presence this evening to lend his support to these programs. Mr. O'Neill has been a part of this for many years, being in these towns, and he understands the value of this program. The biggest question that I've received, just very briefly, and I'm very glad that I have, someone called me today and said, are you changing the name of Chapag? Absolutely, positively not. While the agri-science program will be a very important program here at Chapag, it's no more than would I change the name to Chapag Music Program because we saw such a wonderful presentation. But I understand that all of our parents and all of our students want to continue to be a part of Chapag. What this program will do, and you'll learn more about that tonight, is it will provide all of our students with more opportunities, and some of our students with a very focused, almost major in high school or concentration. So without further ado, the most important person here, the brainchild behind this, the man who sat at a soccer game and came up with a dream, and I was very fortunate that he was able to pass that dream on to me, Mr. Bill Davenport. You're welcome.
By far not the most important person in this room. Okay, so basically I just want to quickly draw your attention to the packets I gave you. I'll just quickly say what they are and then you'll hear more in a minute. The first is just a brochure explaining the FFA program and the entire agri-science program at Nonawag. This is put together by a class of students and we use that as a little bit of promo. A letter from Senator Kane, and I'm so glad that Representative O'Neill came and he can speak for himself tonight, but Senator Kane said that he was hoping to be here. It might be a little late, but he sent a letter ahead of time. It's in there for you. A color map that you'll see on there of how our 23 towns would be divided to a western and an eastern side, just for your information. A brochure that our regional advisory committee put together for us on our SAE work experience component, just to learn more about that part of the program. A sample list of graduates from the program over the years, and this is only a few, there's a million of them, and what they're doing across the country. And the last piece is the actual PowerPoint that I'm going to do, and I'm not going to read it, I'm just going to go through very quickly, focus on the pictures, and you have all the information here if you need any more. And then the last thing is an application, because as you know, students apply to the program, and just give you an idea of what kids have to do to get into the program, and we're hoping to solve the problem that we're saying no to too many in the future with this program. First of all, the PowerPoint, my purpose tonight is really to just share with you the success we've had at Woodbury and what an agri-science program does for a school, for a community, and for the students most importantly. And just give you some background knowledge, because basically the Chapag program will be as good, if not better, than our program in the future if we can get this all together. But this will give you an idea of the components of an agri-science program, and there are 19 across the state, and you would be the 20th. So you just go ahead and I'll go ahead and next one. Ours started in 1920, was the first one in the state and one of the first in the country. In 1917, actually, 2 Congressmen, Smith and Hughes, came up and said, food is important, agriculture is important to our country, we better teach it in high school. So it started in 1917. We were one of the first ones in the country to actually organize, and it started off with 6 boys who lived in Woodbury, who lived on farms, who wanted to learn more about farming to go help their dad on the farm afterwards, okay? Became regional in the early 60s because there were about 40 high schools that had a little program, New Milford, Woodbury, Newtown, in this area and across the state, and they decided smartly, wisely, to make them the first magnet schools. And I'll use that term because it makes me angry that they don't recognize them as magnet schools when we came up with the idea, bringing kids together from all different schools to a common interest for a career path, etc. So that happened in the early 60s, so that's when Woodbury became the regional program for these 23 towns. And then in 1988, they changed the name from vocational agriculture to agri-science and technology, or agricultural education, nationwide, because the words vocational to some people means that kids cannot have the choice to go on to college. And 80% of our kids go on to college, and it was just an update for the name, okay? And we now have 335 kids, and it's interesting, we have 75% of them are girls, so it started 6 boys, now the other way. I keep threatening that next year I'm just going to recruit boys so we can start balancing it off, but probably wouldn't go over too well. Of those 335, we have 5 that live on a farm, an operating farm. So it gives you, again, people have this misperception, there's all these farms, there's not a lot of farms, but there are so many other areas, and people still eat, so they need to learn this. But really only 5, their parents make a living off of that as their primary income. So that's something a lot of people don't realize. A lot of these kids love that, want to be a part of it, just haven't had any exposure to it. And then we have all the other areas we'll talk about. 80% go on to 2 or 4-year college programs. Not that that's the only thing that they need to do, because firm believer of college isn't for everybody, and there are a lot of successful kids who are 21 years old, owning their own landscaping business, doing great, and they just went to some night classes for business. So it's the best thing is we train kids for either or both options. 5-year graduate surveys we've done since 1993. Over 65% of the grads who respond are in the ag fields, which I think is a pretty impressive number. That 2/3 of them end up after 5 years in the industry. Okay. And the basic model of all these agri-science programs it's the 3-circle model, 3 components. It's the classroom instruction, hands-on instruction, applied learning, lab type stuff. The SAE, which is the work experience component, where they go outside of the classroom and have to earn 200 hours of work experience at an approved agricultural setting for their sophomore, junior, senior year. And then the FFA, of course, is the student leadership development portion, which makes us unique, and it really brings the kid into ready to rock with the world when they graduate from high school, because of the public speaking and parliamentary procedure and teamwork and all the other good stuff, the people skills that employers are telling every high school, you got to figure out a way to teach these kids something about working together and public speaking. So, okay. Our freshman year, they go through exploratory, and they get a marking period of each of these courses. It's all in your, but basically an overview of the ag industry. Next one is sophomore year. We allow them to choose 4 marking period courses of the 9 areas that we teach in the upper level. So they meet about a period and a half a day, so they have an extended period of time and learn more about what interests them of the 9 areas. If you go to the next slide, those are the 9 areas that the juniors and seniors are able to meet for double periods and actually major in for 2 years. And by major, I mean we go into the depth of curriculum that we have 8 or 9 colleges in the Northeast that accept our students, and they give them 6 credits of college credit for what they get in those 2 years, which is a great step ahead for these kids too when they go into their careers. Okay. This is just a brochure you have in front of you. I won't spend any time on, but it's just an overview of the FFA and how it works into the program. Next slide is the back of it. Okay, we have that. All set. And then the FFA is awesome. It's just the best thing in the world, and kids get so much out of it. I could go on forever telling you about successful grads, but I grabbed this picture. I was going to crop me out of it because it's so not about me. It's about those 4 girls in the middle. Mm-hmm. They were our national champions, like won nationally, first place in food science. And the 2 girls on the left are up at UMass. One is in natural resources management, the other was animal science. The blonde in the middle is at Texas A&M as a junior, majoring in pre-vet. And the next girl is at UConn, majoring in animal science. All 4 of them in AP classes, just rocking it in high school, but also love the ag thing. They also, 3 of them were at other judging teams that went out to nationals. So our chapter is nationally recognized as sending a lot of teams to national competitions because we have kids that love to do it, and we work pretty hard with them to make it happen. So we also have a huge parent support group. I know in high schools it's really hard to have a big PTO. Usually our high school, actually 5 or 6 parents come to it for the high school PTO. We actually have 170 dues paid members of our parents, of our current students, just people in the community that want to help, and actually parents of past members, which is crazy. You think that when their kids are done with school, they're not going to do it. They still come once a month. There's about 30 people. They come and because their kid got so much out of the program, they want to give back to other kids. So it speaks volumes about what the kids get out of the program. And they do all kinds of activities for us to raise money and support as a PTO would. The SAE is just the supervised ag experience, the work experience component. Every sophomore, junior, and senior has to go find a job working at a vet's office, at a horse barn, at a state park, at a small engine shop, or whatever they're interested in to learn more, a florist or whatever, to learn more about what they're learning in school. And it's that job internship, valuable job, workplace skills, something else that a lot of high schools just don't have the opportunity to do. And this is part of the program that makes us unique. And then we're going to burn through these pictures pretty quickly, but I think I put 30 pictures of kids doing things for their SAE. So we have surveying and building concrete walks around houses, working at New Milford Agway. Dog kennel, owns his own landscaping business, he's a senior in high school. Working with construction and building barns. Logue's Farm Stand. Place in Southbury, another organic farm market. Laban's Meat Market, 3 kids work there and learn the meat cutting skills and are in that part of it. Veterinarian's assistant. A couple of girls are twins that actually show dogs competitively nationwide, actually are in our program and do that kind of stuff. Flanders Nature Center, ag education for the summer programs they have. That's the other twin with the other dog. Working at greenhouses, vegetable production, floral production. A lot of horse kids, a lot of horses in this area. Every horse barn you go to, you'll find a couple of Manawa kids working there. Greenhouses, nurseries. Little Britches, therapeutic riding, big popularity. A lot of kids are doing it, and a lot of our students absolutely love helping those kids learn about horses, and it's really rewarding for them. They volunteer there. Our school garden, we have a 200 by 40 foot area where our students work, and we produce food and donate to food banks, and also when we have enough, we actually serve our lettuce and some of our vegetables in the cafeteria. Again, horseback riding and training. Again, another one. Fruit production, alpacas, kennel, Ansonia Nature Center, another kennel, a lot of kennels around too. Taxidermy shop, I mean there's a lot of places around, it's all related to natural resources, forestry. And then for the River Audubon Society down in Southbury, water quality testing and whatnot in the environment. Another vet, and horse, I think that's the last one. So I thought pictures are more fun than the words. You have the words in front of you. So the advisory committee, which is very important, every ag center has to have a regional advisory committee where we have at least 2 people from each town that send students to us who work in the ag industry. They keep us updated, they help us with curriculum changes, they help us with equipment grants, they help us place students. Many of them hire our students for the SAE, so they're our link to the industry. And again, it's something a lot of high schools, there's just no real link to what's really going on out there, and I think it's awesome that we have that because that group helps us immensely. And they love seeing the kids and helping the kids, and it works together. So huge community support for this kind of thing. And half of those advisory committee members actually are in the towns that would be coming here and in your towns actually. Application process, I gave the application, I go out in September and go to the 23 schools, do a presentation. Late October is our open house, 8th grade open house, and then we have applications due in December and acceptance letters go out February 1st. And we look for grades in line with their ability. Demonstrated interest is the key. Behavior and attendance we look at. We get them to have an adult letter recommendation, a teacher recommendation, and then their personal essay that they do. So it's a pretty involved, 13-year-olds getting interviewed. I'm the guy that goes in there and they're looking at me and they're all red in the face and they're all nervous and they realize I'm okay and I'm a nice guy and they do a great job. It's really pretty impressive to see them. We do have review students. It's a privilege to get into the program and they have to know that they need to pass all their classes, do well in ag, do the SAE project that they need to do, behave, and be there for attendance. So those 5 criteria, we review everybody. If they're failing 1 or more classes, they're on probation. At the end of the year, if they don't correct it, if they can't correct it in summer school, then they're asked to go back to their school. So we have standards and they rise to them and go above them, which is great. Added benefits to just be thinking about what Chippewa could happen here is you guys have 8th, 7th, and 8th grades right here. What a great exploration type course. They could take a marking period of it and just kind of learn what's out there. We'd love to do that in Woodbury, but our middle school is down the road, so it doesn't work. I know Womogo and Northwestern both have that opportunity, and they do reach out to the middle schools as exploratory programs. Senior projects, you guys, Chippewa is known as you guys are the first, I think, to really do an awesome job at the senior projects for years before they even thought about them. And hats off to you guys for doing that. We're trying to figure it out now, but I just thought of so many applications for a cool senior project that these kids would love to do once this all happens. It just gives them more opportunity to do something right here at school-based. Farm to table is a huge thing. It could be something that could happen. Landscaping class maintains the school grounds. Every time I drive in here, I see that side hill when you drive in. I'm like, I can totally see Chippewa High School spelled out with shrubs and a really cool, there's a lot of landscaping that could happen, and our students do that kind of stuff around our school. The next slide, I think, shows you. This is just yesterday or 2 days ago I took these pictures, but it looks nicer in better weather, but the wall on the left was built completely by students in the landscaping class, and a patio on the right. Just little enhancements of the school. They're learning how to do it. They're going to go on to the industry and do that. You might as well learn and have something benefit from it. And the nice thing is they have a lot of pride in those projects, so kids don't trash them, and they just know the kids did it, and it's our school. We made it nice, and it's just a great thing. Also, our we have the floriculture right now, a lot of holiday sales. We have those throughout the year, so you bring community in buying stuff, they get into the school. Next slide, I think, is our local food production class. These are our hydroponic greenhouse. These are tables where we grow basil, lettuce, all kinds of stuff, and when we have enough, the cafeteria uses it. We also sell it to a couple Carol Pecks, and Woodbury has bought some to support the school and just help the kids understand that there's an end result to it. Aquaponics, our brand new course. It's kind of hard to see, but the left picture, that's all lettuce grown, and the fish tank is to the left of it, so it's a completely sustainable operation where the fish waste water fertilizes the plants, so you're making vegetables out of that. In the middle, you can see there's 3 different types, and students have built that little network of PVC pipe, but you can't see closely if you look. There's a little plant every 6 inches in it, and then the other side is just another overview of it. But that's something that's getting bigger and bigger in the industry as well. And we have an adult ed program throughout the year. We have floor arranging, we have sausage making, welding, probably 30 different things that people come at night, pay $15 for a 2-hour class, which is a steal when you compare it to other places. Welding fills up in 10 minutes. We could do that every night of the year and never satisfy the need. People love to learn that. So that's another opportunity that you can get community involved with it. Applications right now, we have 119 for next year so far, a few more coming in, and of those 119, there are 47 applications from the towns that would come to you eventually. So it gives you an idea of, without even existing, there are that many kids in these towns, and I guarantee it could go way higher once something happens. There's 47 freshmen for next year if you were operating right now, coming into the program. A little bit of a decrease in the last 4 or 5 years because truly kids are figuring out it's hard to get in. So I'm not going to bother, you know what I mean? I don't think I have enough interest or demonstrate interest, so they don't. And I know that once they knew that there is more opportunity, you'll have numbers rise as well. Okay? All right, this is the map I gave you. And if you would click to the next one. Now, first of all, this one, all the gray areas, those are the 19 regional centers right now. Those 18 plus us right in the middle. And if you look at the map, pretty much every area that has a lot of population in it is pretty well covered. Up in the northeastern corner, not a lot of people, so that's pretty covered by them. Down in the very central Killingworth, Deep River area, not a lot of population. It looks like there's a big need for one there, but really they can travel the other ones. Our area with Danbury and New Fairfield and Bethel and Newtown, I mean, there's a lot of population for 23 towns to go to one school. That's the dilemma. And it really, I've asked a lot of people, I even talked to a bunch of legislators actually, and they're like, why didn't we think of this 15 years ago? And we just haven't found a place that would be willing to host it. So next slide just has a close-up version, and you see what a line would be. It just makes sense, a western area and an eastern area. And the last is the copy of the graduates, and I have 2 lovely young ladies who agreed to come here. Just give a couple minutes of their background and what they got out of the program, and they're from Brookfield and Danbury, 2 towns that would end up coming here. So I'd like to introduce Stephanie Wacko and then Jenna Nicole right after.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Watko. I'm a 2010 graduate of Nonawag in the FFA and Ag program. I'm from Brookfield, as stated. I went to the same parochial school for 12 years, from 3-year-old pre-K to 8th grade. So when it came to picking a high school, it was kind of scary going to a town that was 30 miles away. And it was a big move for me in general because I was very shy, not very outgoing, not very confident in public speaking or anything like that. But I found out about the program through horseback riding at a barn that I went to in Woodbury. So I immediately applied and I got accepted, and it was very exciting. I had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning every day to catch the bus at 5:15, which was insane looking back at it. But it was completely worth it. The program was amazing. All my life before that, I was the singular crazy horse girl in school, totally outcast, not a lot of friends. And as soon as I got to Nonawag, I totally found my niche. I made so many friends. FFA totally changed my life. I immediately got involved in livestock judging and horse judging my freshman year. Sophomore year, I was on the sophomore block officer team, which is a sophomore version of the chapter officer team, and I was secretary. And sophomore year, We won horse judging at the state. I was first place individual and also first place in the region. So we moved on to nationals where we were a gold medal team. And then my junior year, I was roped into dairy judging by Mr. D, which was a completely new field to me, being a horse girl, getting into dairy cattle, but I loved it. And my senior year, I was chapter president. And I also went to nationals for dairy judging, which we were also first in state and region prior to that. And we were the fourth place team nationally, which is a big deal. And I was a top 10 individual. So because of that, we got to go to Europe for a international competition in Scotland and also a tour of Europe of, was it 5 countries? I think it was, yeah. So it was amazing. We got to go to Paris, we got to go to London, France, Germany, Luxembourg. It was a trip of a lifetime, and it was completely funded, which was amazing. And FFA helped me in so many ways, but it definitely helped me get into college. I graduated from UConn this past May with a degree in animal science with a pre-veterinary focus. I wanted to be a vet for pretty much as long as I can remember, and Naunawag definitely helped me on that path. A lot of the colleges really recognized that I was an FFA and they were very impressed by it, and I was offered quite a few scholarships specifically based off of my FFA experience. So that was definitely a huge advantage for me, but I ultimately chose UConn, and last year I applied to vet school, which was terrifying. And I applied to 11 schools and got into 4. And this January, I will be starting vet school at Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine on St. Kitts in the Caribbean. I'm moving there a week from Saturday, so it's a huge step, but it's very exciting. And it all started back in the ag program where I really found myself, and I really kind of figured out how to get on the track to get to where I wanted to be. So definitely an amazing program.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Jenna Nickel. I'm from Danbury. I'm a 2003 graduate of Naunawag, and I actually sit on the advisory committee for Naunawag High School right now. So if you guys do have a program, you're probably going to end up poaching me to sit on your advisory committee, if Mr. D allows it. Anyway, coming from Danbury was a huge obstacle for me. I grew up in Danbury, and I'm talking about like the far side of Danbury. So I was on the Reading Ridgefield border, and I had a love for animals, and I wanted to be a veterinarian like every little girl did. So I found out about Naunawag High School and decided to apply there. Amazingly, I got in, and I did the 4:30 in the morning bus ride, or 4:30 in the morning wake-up call with a 5:15, 5:30 bus ride every day. Some days it took us 2 hours to get to school, 2 hours to get home. But it was worth every minute of sitting on that bus. The education that I received at Naunawag surpasses any other education I could have gotten at any other school. And I'm not just talking about the core curriculum, I'm talking about the agricultural curriculum. It has shaped and honed my skills not only to do everyday tasks and critically think and to analyze problems and figure out what's the best solution in the situation, but it has given me the skill set to do things that people my age haven't done or haven't even considered thinking about doing it. Now I'm almost 30, and compared to my classmates and my colleagues from UConn when I went to school there, they're not anywhere near where I was or where I am currently, and I really credit that to the program. Naunawag High School, with the 3 rings of curriculum and FFA and SAE, those 3 rings influenced me every single day. The supervised agricultural experience, I worked on a small dairy farm in Reading, Connecticut, and coming from Danbury to work on a dairy farm was insane. I was not a dairy girl whatsoever. I didn't want to get covered in manure. I didn't like cows. But let me tell you, after doing my first 200 hours there, I was sold. This program, the FFA, the SAE, really made me realize my passion for agriculture and agricultural production. I love cows. I couldn't wait to get up in the morning at 4:30 to go milk cows all morning. And if I could, I would have gone during the week, during the school hours, but my parents were like, no, you're crazy. You've got soccer after school. There's no way you're getting up at 4:30 to milk cows, then go to school, then do soccer. So it was that program combined with the FFA. Now the FFA, I I didn't really get too involved in it until I was a junior. And it was because of Mr. Davenport's encouragement that I joined my first career development event, which was dairy products judging. And I think he knew that I liked cheese, and that was going to be one way to kind of get me into the FFA, because part of that program was identifying different cheeses and taste testing them, and also looking at dairy equipment that you would use in a dairy plant. So I did the career development event. I don't think we won at states, but we did well. And that was my first kind of taste of it. And I said, you know what, this FFA stuff is kind of cool, actually. So I joined dairy judging, I joined agricultural business management. I went to nationals a couple times, and to go to nationals and be surrounded by 300,000 back in my time. It's how many?
50,000.
50,000. It was 30,000 when I was back there 10 years ago, so it's about 50,000 now. But to be surrounded with peers, 30,000 of your colleagues and your peers, fellow students who share the same passion as you do, is amazing. Where else do you find that? There's no national soccer convention where you can go and be surrounded by 30,000 of your fellow soccer teammates, and you guys don't all share the same passion. Maybe soccer you do. But going to the FFA convention is life-changing. It's amazing. So I went a few times, and one of the last times I was able to go, I was going to go for dairy judging, which was really exciting because I'm a Danbury girl, never had any experience with dairy cows, and our team won states. I placed third on the team in the state. We won the regional competition, and we were going to nationals. But Mr. D called me up, and he said, you need to make a decision. And I said, what are you talking about? Well, my SAE, my proficiency, won states, which I knew about, but it was also awarded as one of the national finalists for the proficiency competition in the area of diversified livestock production, which is insane for a Connecticut student working on a small dairy farm with 10 cows to go up against states like Wisconsin and South Dakota, who the fellow students I was competing against had 300 head of cattle, 400 head of beef. To be able to stand next to those students on a national platform at a national convention and walk away with a plaque saying, I did it, is amazing. And you can have students like that at your school. And you have them already. They just Sorry. Oh, sorry about
It's true.
that. Well, I was going to say, you have those students already, but bringing this curriculum to your school and giving them the skill set and giving them the opportunities and giving them the curriculum, the job experience, and the program will just bring everything together for those students and just give them a platform to be able to shine and to be able to grow and to be able to do amazing things. Now, today, I went to UConn for animal science. I graduated in 2007, and I can just say that I have a dual bachelor's in animal science and agricultural economics with a minor in dairy science. The dairy science minor, I'm glad my parents aren't here, but that was a waste of money because I got all that education at Ottawa. So it was really just more going through the work so I can get the minor to put on my resume. But that's what the school does. And before, when I was at Nanawa, they didn't have the credits. But it just shows that the curriculum that they're teaching is college level, even 10 years ago when I was at the school. They're cutting edge, they know what industry's doing, and I can tell you that today because I work for the state of Connecticut. I am a food inspector with the Department of Consumer Protection. I've been there under a year, and already I've been recruited by the Federal Drug Administration. So it's pretty exciting, and the most important thing for me to tell you is that this program is not just about cows and sheep and chickens. It's not just about growing your food and harvesting it. This program is about the end result as well. We all go home at night and we go to the grocery store and we pick up our lettuce and we pick up our salad dressing and we pick up our tomatoes and our onions and everything else, our chicken. That is harvested somewhere, but it's also processed somewhere. So you go home and you make your dinner. What are you doing? You're doing something with agriculture. Agriculture is in every single moment of your life. And it's so important, and so my job, I'm a regulatory official, making sure that the end product, the manufacturing and the processing, that everybody is doing good manufacturing processing, and that starts with the harvesting and it ends with the food on your plate at night. So that's it.
Thank you, ladies. And those are only two of, I could have 3,000 lined up here to tell you their story. It's great. I'd like to now introduce Karen Hutchinson from the National FFA. She's one of the local program specialists. Is that what it's called now? Success specialist, LPS specialist. And there are 6 of you, I think?
Yes.
Okay, and she's the Northeast Corridor one. So she drove up from Delaware today to be here tonight to give you a national scope of what the whole ag program in FFA does. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here tonight. It is so exciting. A little bit about my background. I've been involved with ag education for 35 years. I actually just retired from the state of Delaware as the state FFA advisor. I did that for 22 years. I taught ag for 13, and thought, well, what am I going to do in retirement? Ag ed. So I went to work for National FFA full time, and I do serve as the Northeast Region Local Program Success Person, and I do it because I love the organization, I love ag education, and I truly believe in how important agriculture is. So that's why I'm here. And if I could speak on the value of ag education in middle schools and high schools every night, I would do it. I truly, truly believe in it. The national organization, a couple of the other pieces of information you have are ones that I left under what Bill left. And that's just a little bit about the National FFA organization. By the numbers, there's over 600,000 members nationwide. Again, a small percentage coming off production agriculture farms. What we like to say is that everything starts there, though. No matter what our students are involved in, it has some tie back to that production agriculture. Also, our national convention this year, there were approximately 65,000 students and advisors and guests that registered. It's really exciting to be a part of the national organization. There also is an overview and again a little bit of a picture of the three-circle model, a little bit of history of FFA. But FFA is a piece of that three-circle model, or three-component model that Bill talked about. And FFA wouldn't exist without the classroom instruction and without the SAE part. Some of the things, there are a tremendous number of leadership opportunities available for students from middle school all the way up through their college careers. There's different training programs. There's a Washington Leadership Conference that students can apply and go to from the time they're in 9th grade all the way through. They go to Washington, D.C. They learn about agriculture. They learn about the policies and legislation surrounding agriculture. A huge piece of that. We have a lot of kids that actually go into the policy side of agriculture. They may go into law. They may go into environmental studies or whatever. So it is a very wide-ranging occupation. There's a state president's conference, so all of the state presidents and the vice president spend a week in Washington also, learning more leadership skills and also learning to advocate for agriculture. One of the things that most impresses me about the organization and why I chose to continue working in it even after 35 years. I wasn't ready to stop, wasn't ready to give up. It really develops the whole student, the whole person, and what I really, really liked and saw over my years of being involved in ag education is how involved the students become in the community. They become good citizens of their own community and of the bigger community of the country and of the world. One of the big things that National FFA is involved in right now is agriculture sustainability and feeding the 9 billion people that are expected to populate the planet. And how are we going to do that? And so There are programs like Feeding the World Starting at Home that FFA is very involved in. There's grants that students can apply for that help with these sorts of things. There's also scholarships. The scholarship program just opened up for students to apply online for scholarships, and I'm trying, Bill, to look at what the amount is this year. $2.2 million in scholarships available to students involved in agriculture, and they apply through their account online. Everyone who's an FFA member has an account online that they can apply for awards and different things, but that scholarship money is one of the things they can apply for. That scholarship money comes from business and industry. They believe in these students. They want to support these students, and one of the reasons they believe in them and one of the reasons they want to support them is the number of career opportunities that are available. Being from Delaware, one of our big industries is DuPont, and we have been able to work DuPont's a wonderful national sponsor, but they also were a great sponsor within our state. And on many opportunities, I had the privilege of working with and speaking with the president of the crop protection area of DuPont. And he is also on the National Sponsors Board. He keeps saying, every time I see him, he said, we need more ag graduates. We can't find enough people to apply for all of the jobs we have open from all levels, whether it's out of a community college, out of a four-year degree, a PhD, whatever. They are constantly looking for people with an agriculture background. The field is growing. It continues to grow. The STEM opportunities in agriculture are absolutely incredible. When you think about agriculture and that now there were only 5 out of your program going back to production, but those 5 farms are feeding how many more people? How did that happen? It didn't just happen when people moved off the farm. It happened because agriculture is so important, so critical, the whole STEM piece. And it isn't new to agriculture. STEM is not new to agriculture. STEM has been a piece of agriculture for years. The science, the technology, the engineering, the mathematics. How do we continue to feed more people with fewer people in production and fewer acres of land in production? It's because of the science. It's because of the technology. It's because of the engineering that people involved in agriculture use every day to help a world feed more people with less land. And so I can't tell you enough about how much agriculture is STEM. It is a complete STEM program. One of the things that I've also seen is in some areas, the environmental AP program is taught in the ag program because they do a pathway in environmental sciences, and so they do that capstone as the AP environmental class. And that's worked really well in a lot of districts. I've seen that happen. Probably one of, I've seen great partnerships between programs where there's a great culinary program in a school and a great ag science program in a school, and they use the hydroponics. They use the school garden to provide the culinary with herbs and different ingredients for them to then do what they need to do and to learn to make fresh foods. A lot of the kids that we see have absolutely no idea where their food comes from. Absolutely no idea. And the more we can educate kids about where their food comes from and food safety and how critical food safety is. And I think that's why there's a lot of movement to locally grown and the farm to table movement, which I think is great. There's also a tremendous amount of professional development available for our teachers. We don't expect teachers to get out of college and stop learning. Agriculture changes constantly. It is one of those careers that is not stagnant. The technology involved in it, the science involved in agriculture changes all the time. So we try to provide different opportunities, and most of this is done, again, through great sponsors that support through National FFA. Their DuPont company supports the Ag Ambassador program, where they bring teachers in 2 different weeks in the summer, 2 different groups of teachers, and train them on inquiry-based instruction, intensive instruction for those teachers. They also get to see some of the job opportunities available to their students that do choose to go on. There's the CASE curriculum that is out there that also is very inquiry-based, where teachers go for 2 weeks of training to be able to teach the different areas. I'll just mention a couple more things because, like everybody else, we're crazy. You know? People that are in Ag Ed are crazy. We could talk forever about what we love. We love the organization. We love. I have students that I taught when I first started teaching many years ago, who I still are in touch with. There's a relationship that you build with your students and your parents and your community. The first school I taught in, I was out of that school 11 years, and every time I went down there, I'd have somebody say, "Are you coming back?" No, I've been gone 11 years now. I'm at the state. I like what I do. But they really, the support you get, the ability to get to learn, to know who your parents are, to know your students, it's just I don't know why anybody would teach anything else but Ag. I don't understand. But for some reason, some people like other things too. But I do say, if you taught, you could teach everything through agriculture. I truly believe that. You could teach history, you could teach science, you could teach everything through the opportunities, the global opportunities for kids is great too. The trips to Europe, the Proficiency Award winners have an opportunity, the finalists, to interview to go to Costa Rica. I've had state officers I had one last year that went to South Africa. What an impact that made on this young man, and I know the impact that these global opportunities have on students is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Career outlook?
Career outlook is wonderful. Our colleges, universities, our business people keep saying, pump out ag majors, ag students, we need them. We can't find enough to fill all the occupations. The biggest problem is if you go to federal or usually even state Department of Labor statistics, you'll never see that there's a shortage of agriculture people, because they usually just look at production. A lot of the things you see for scientists, for research, for business people are ag-related industries. Mm-hmm. They just show up mixed in with banking, with everything else. The people who really let us know that there is a need are our business and industry people and our college people. I know in our state, our community college, their ag program has a 98% placement rate in the field, which is unbelievable. The university usually has more positions that people want than they have graduates for. And they usually end up making their average salary is usually pretty darn good when compared to the other colleges in the area. Certainly if I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to do that. I just get all excited about Ag Ed, and it's a great program for the middle schools in the state that I still live in Delaware, but I'm not working with the state right now, but I know my last few years, our greatest growth was in our middle schools. We had a high school program in every school district in the state, but our growth was in middle schools. And to see what these middle school kids can do, when you set them loose with the Ag Science Fair or some of these different projects, it is amazing what they come up with. And they get enthused, and if they get enthused in middle school, they stay with it through high school. It's just a great program for them. So the outlook for employment is great. I know one of the colleges we worked with said they love Ag Ed students. They love kids that have gone through FFA because they come into college knowing what they want. They're focused. They don't change their major multiple times. And as a parent of 2 kids in college, I really appreciate that they not change their major because it usually means extra time and extra money. So if they go in knowing what they want, that's a win for everybody. So thanks a lot for having me here tonight and for listening. And any other questions I can answer, feel free to ask them. I'll Bill and they all know how to get in touch with me. I would highly suggest that you go to the National FFA website, which is just www.ffa.org, and see some of the great resources that are on the website and some of the great opportunities for the students. Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple of brief comments. Thank you, Karen, very much. I mean, to come up and do this for a 20-minute deal, it's amazing, and I really appreciate it, but that's the outreach. I mean, the FFA is excited to have new programs because they're being told by the industry, we need more kids, bottom line. And so hopefully this can help fix that. The slide I showed you with the girls, that food science team, I forgot to mention that Kraft Foods guy, the sponsor of that contest, that day told all 4 of them, once you're done with college, you have a like guaranteed job there because they know the caliber of these kids in every one of those contests. So those are the kind of people that they're there looking for, those industry. That's why they're sponsoring them, because they get to pick from the best to employ, which is awesome. And also thank you, girls. Completely proud of you as always. You're awesome. Did a great job. Also, Karen has also served on the National FFA board, and I'm actually on it right now. I'm halfway through my term. And again, every board meeting we have in Indianapolis, same thing, is we need more kids. We have all these jobs waiting. How are we going to feed these people in 30 years? I mean, it's a national movement. So to be a part of possible solution to that. And then, like I said, I'm the guy who goes out and I have to say no to these kids. And today I went to Oxford and I had 10 kids I interviewed. And one girl, her brother's in the program and her cousin went through the program 3 years ago, sits down across from me. And I was looking through her application. How you doing? Oh, good, you know. And she pulls out her pocket. She pulls this out of her pocket. And she goes, my brother and my cousin thought this may help. And she's over. I mean, that's how desperate these kids wanted this program. And I told her, I'm like, if it was bigger and green, I do something for you. But how wants to do that? That she thought to steal her Monopoly money. I'm going to keep this forever, which is great. But those are the kind of kids we're saying no to. I mean, think about it. So you guys can be a solution, a huge solution to having every one of those kids who has this passion, who wants to do this to make it happen. So, and lastly, I want to introduce Representative O'Neill, who graciously came, a huge supporter of our program for years. I can always count on him, and he is your rep, and he accepted the invitation to come to the meeting and share his thoughts. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll try to be brief. This is a program that works. I've been going to FFA dinners, breakfasts, events at Nonawag for 25 years. The students that or graduates that you just heard from are outstanding. I think you could tell that from their presentation. However, they are not unusual for the program. They're fairly typical of the students who graduate from this program. One of the things in talking to the students when I go there to the various events for the last 25 years, a consistent theme is that these are students who go into the program, and one of them mentioned this, not really sure where they wanted to go, not really fitting into the traditional kind of program that high schools offer to students, and then finding their passion, finding their purpose in life, and running with it, and maturing very, very rapidly. Compare the student, when we're talking, you're seeing now after they graduated, they've gone to college and beyond. But when you talk to a 17 or an 18-year-old student who is almost as focused and confident and poised and clear-headed about what they're trying to do with their lives and where they're going to go with their lives, and you see that the effectiveness of this, what the effectiveness of this program really is. The transformation from 14 years of age or thereabouts to about 17 or 18 years of age is just amazing. And when you compare that to the typical student who's going through a regular high school program, it's just astounding the impact that this program has on these students. They don't go into the program with an absolute guarantee of where they want to go or the absolute certainty of what they want to do with that level of confidence and with that level of focus. The difference is what the program provides to them. Now, one problem that I foresee that you may have is that, and you've heard a little bit of it, is that you may have to find a way to clone Bill Davenport because he is such an integral part and an important part of the program that they have. But I think that with the assistance that he's going to provide to helping get this thing set up, and I believe that that passion that you see in the students that are here, you see it from so many other people that are associated with the program, other teachers that are at the program, who feed off of the enthusiasm of the students. Once the students really start to be energized by what they're seeing, what they're having an opportunity to do, it's a mutually reinforcing kind of effect. These programs are, in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of students come through a lot of our magnet schools and a lot of our other special charter schools, all the things that the state is trying to do with education, our goals, which are sometimes met, sometimes not, those goals are being achieved with agricultural programs and have been for decades, 3/4 of a century now, really. And the more of this that we can get, the better off the state of Connecticut will be. And I think Chappaqua will be enormously benefited from having this kind of a program. If you can make it work, and if there's any way I can help you get this thing to work, I will do it. Because this is such an enormously successful program for the students, I think for the school system, and for the state of Connecticut. If there's any way to make this happen, it's worth the effort to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Representative O'Neill, thank you for coming on behalf of the board. We appreciate it very much. And without seeking to bind you, just I wonder, because you can't bind the legislature, do you believe that this effort would have support in the legislature?
Yes. I mean, given the realities, finances being what they are, competition for attention in the legislature being what it is, I cannot guarantee an outcome.
Of course.
But everybody in the legislature's had contact with agricultural students and understands how much of an impact this kind of a program can make. So if we can make it work, we will. I mean, in the legislature, we've been able to push for improvements to the financing for it, and we can do more along that line. I think that when you look at the quality of the educational experience and the results, it just speaks for itself to the point where if we could transfer any money, we know that it will produce a good result.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So when are you going to run for governor? Just one thing about that is one thing we have going for, a lot of things we have going for us as far as the quality of the program, but 1989 is the last ag program that's been put together at the state. It was in Bloomfield. So we have that many years, 4 years or so. There hasn't been one, and my big deal is a great answer to anybody saying, why do we need an ag program? Is, well, every year we have 10 or 15 new magnets, 10 new charters every single year, and we haven't had one since 1989. If you look at that map, this will be the last one. It's not like we're going to add more every year. This is a place that got forgotten about, and we're trying to fix that. So I think that's the biggest thing that we have going with the legislature to hopefully encourage them to support this. And I know the State Board of Ed is already excited. A couple of those members said, so why did you come 10 years ago, kind of thing. So I think they all get it, and I'm really confident that working together with everybody, we can hopefully make it happen. So.
Thank you.
We'll just close with the same thing that I've said to each group that I've had the honor to speak with about this opportunity, and that is you now become our ambassadors for this program. I want you to remember a few things when you're out in the community. First of all, What I'm excited about, what Bill is excited about, is an educational opportunity, a chance to fulfill a need in the larger educational community, and indeed, while doing so, providing a stable population for this school for years to come. More students to compete with, different opportunities, and everything that Bill and I have been speaking about. We look at ways to combine those ag students with the general population and create educational opportunities for all students because we're doing this. I'm convinced that we will come away from this a stronger school with more rigorous and challenging programs for our students, and frankly, you've heard what it does for them for their futures. So I'm asking each of you that come to these events, and I'm certainly asking the board, to be ambassadors for what we're trying to do. It's more than just a simple opportunity. It is a broad spectrum of opportunities for our kids that we're able to create together. As an educator, I have to tell you, it doesn't get any better than this. To be able to create this kind of a program, to be able to do this type of a service for our students, I'm very excited. I'm very excited with the number of people that I see coming to each of our events, and I truly, truly appreciate everything that's been done this evening by all of you to help me to make this a reality for Chappaqua. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we're about to move on to a more mundane portion of our agenda, so if any of you have any sense, you'll get up and leave.
Get off the fence. Tell us how you feel.
Well, the next item on our agenda is to discuss and if appropriate approve the contract between the Chappaqua Valley Administrators Association and the Region 12 Board of Education. Is there a motion? Right.
Chairman, I will move the approval of the contract as presented to us this evening.
Is there a second?
This is subject to whatever there are a few little changes that have to be made, but the basic deal.
I'll second.
All right, so moved and seconded. I'll just say for the record that we had a executive session of the board tonight before our regularly scheduled meeting at which this matter was discussed. Is there any other comment? All right, there's a motion to approve the contract between the Region 12 Board of Education and the Chappaqua Valley Administrators Association for the period from July 1, 2015 to June 30, 2018. And I'll also state for the record that the contract, as I understand, has not been signed by the SVBA yet, and I will not sign it on behalf of the board until I'm presented with a signed contract, but I expect that will happen shortly. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstaining? The motion passes. Thank you very much. I'm sorry?
Without Alan. Alan wants to sit in the
Oh.
facility. Just want to ask.
Yes.
It's
All
voted
right.
yes? Okay.
It's unanimous. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you all.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays.